George, we are very often engaged in let's say, change consulting. And when we are engaged in change consulting, a lot of the success of our intervention depends on let's say, on the relationship we have with our client, but with the boss of the unit where we contribute to the management of change. And because this boss is going to play a big role in the change or in the success of the change project. And we see that when the process of change is is going on, the role of the boss is very, very, very important, and very often the success depends on the capacity of leadership of this responsible. So what would be interesting is to let's say, to exchange our experiences about that, and to come to I don't know, some kind of reflection about what are the main quality of a leader, and what does that necessitate from a person to really be an effective leader.
Yeah, first of all, Robert, I think nowadays transformational leadership is one of the most important skills you have to have. The concept of leading change is the fundament of every leader nowadays. Mm-hmm. And of course, that doesn't mean that you just have to have a change management skills, but in organizations which are in a big transformation process almost all the time. I don't know any organization which is stable. Mm-hmm. Can't tell you about any. So on every layer of managers, I think having the capacities of leading the change is important. But that doesn't mean that it stops there. So in my view of leadership, I see always 4 dimensions of what you have to be a good leader. And typically when we're talking about leadership, we talk about, let's say, the capacity and the skills in leading people or leading, creating relations. I think there is one aspect which is underestimated, which is really important. That's the capacity of leading the business. Mm-hmm. So my first dimension, or the first important topic as a leader, out of my understanding, is being able to lead the business. What does this mean? That means, do you understand the markets? Do you understand your business model? Do you understand how competition is evolving? Do you understand the dynamic of the markets? Do you understand the evolution of technology? Do you have innovation capacities? So are you able to build a picture of how the future business model could look like, and how your company will play a role in a dynamic changing market? And so this is completely disconnected from the typical view of leadership, which is a relational way to deal with employees or colleagues. Here we are on strategy. Here we are on innovation. And here we are on very specific skills related to, let's say, more like an architect.
Yeah, but the architect, but of course, if the architect built something, beautiful, relevant and all that, but doesn't share it, it's not going to work.
Then you need other skills. But
you need other skills. Okay, so you want to stress this point. That means people have to not only to commit, but to be able to imagine the future.
honestly, I have so many leaders who don't have a clue about a future business model.
And companies where there is no vision and sometimes no real strategy, and people are they are managing the business as it is.
They are good accountants of the business, and they have no vision. And if we make a vision work with them, it's poor what is coming out, because they are not questioning the business model. They are not understanding how competition is evolving, and they're just managing their business. And in this case, having these typical leadership skills of making a nice team building, gathering the people around you, is useless, because even the others do not have great ideas. So you have a lot of people being blind and talking about colors. So I think not in every business, not in every sector or branch, but a good leader has to have skills in understanding how business will evolve. That's one part. That's the first one. Leading the business. And we have nice examples where leaders in the past really had a vision, and around this vision created a company or developed a company, transformed the company. So the second one is, beneath the fact that you need to have a clear picture of the future of the company in the market, on the other hand, you have an organization you have to lead. You have 10, hundreds, thousands of people which have to work together in a certain way. You have to, and here it's more organizational and process skills you need to get this in a proper way. You have to ensure quality in the company. You have to ensure performance, organizational performance in this company. So that's the second element of a good leader. It's leading the organization.
If we stop with these two dimensions, they are very often approached by different models of leadership, and they are at the same time complementary, but antagonist also. The time frame is different. The first one is oriented towards the future, but leading the business, because you always have to anticipate about what could happen in the future and renovate your business model. But leading the organization is very, very day-to-day business to ensure the best profitability of every operation. So it's not the same qualities at all. One is towards the future. One is in the ideas and action. The other one is in, let's say, the organization, the planning, control, and evaluation of every process. We know we don't find that at equal development in the same person.
It's hard, but there are two dimensions of a good leader. Those are two, and we know, if you're looking on the St. Gallen management and leadership model, they also differentiate in those two, let's say, main categories. To say, at one side, the leader with, let's say, more the idea of destroying the actual business to build something new, and the manager who is the housekeeper, who's ensuring that there's always food at home, that everything works fine, that the trash can is empty, that the performance of the organization is working. So, and typically the manager doesn't like change, because change is always a risk.
Of degrading the profitability of the operation.
So the saying, never change a running system, is a typical saying of a manager and not of a leader, if you go like that. But nevertheless, a leader is needed to, or let's say not a leader, leading the business, so this element is needed to ensure the future business of the company. Managing a company, leading the organization is needed to ensure the daily profitability and performance of the organization. You cannot divide it. Now, for sure, maybe someone has better skills and competencies on the one or the other, but be aware that if you don't have both, or if you don't manage both in a certain way, you might get into trouble.
Okay, so let's imagine that we have the capacity to elaborate a vision and a strategy. That you have the capacity, the leader has the capacity to structure, plan, organize, and all that, the different processes and of production, operation, and all that. But we know in change management that the main point is not about all that. The main point is about people.
Correct.
And there is the people you have to lead, and also who you as a person. How do you manage all that?
True. So we need. Let's say if we're working about those 4 dimensions, the first 2, leading the business, leading the organization. Now we're coming to a third one, which is leading people. Because you're fully right, at the end, a good leader has to get a performance culture inside of the organization. And performance culture is done by bringing people or getting people to a mindset in which they want to work together and want to create performance. So that's the third element of a good leader. It's having the skills to bring people on whatever way, on whatever philosophy you have to create performance, because they want to do it. And to bring people to work together in a way that there are no dysfunctionalities between them. Yeah? That you have a spirit. So leading people has a lot to do with creating the right spirit inside the organization to bring people to work together. Leading the organization is setting the frame. Leading people is getting people to get with the right spirit to work together. Yeah? And here you have to have communication skills. Here you have to have the right attitude towards your employees. Here you have to be able to create relations and to build up those relations that people are working together.
Yes, I have the belief that to really relate to the people, you have to establish trust and to yourself to inspire trust. That means to be trustworthy, and at the same time to demonstrate you are trusting the people in front of you. To at least to give the world is changing, everything is changing. At least there is some kind of security, coming from the quality of the relationship between the people. Yes, you want to develop this point?
No, I think you're right, but I would go a little bit higher in my definition. By leading people, what counts is that you have the skills to develop your set of values, which are important for you, in which you believe that they will create performance inside of the organization, inside of your people, and to live those values together with your people. And this value could be trust, if it's important for you, and if you believe that trust is the fundament of your people performance, it can be something different. So I wouldn't just, I wouldn't go so far here to define the values which might create this trust, this performance. Out of my understanding, it is trust. But I would say every leader, when you lead people, one of the basic skills is developing your own set of values and be able to roll these out in the organization and to get it accepted by your teams.
Yes. Okay. So I think a lot of change management is going through teams, and finally at the top of any unit you have a team, and you have this team has to be effective and that to be cohesive. How do you do that? You do that by, if we simplify a little bit, two big dimensions. One is a strategic project, so people have to share. And so if a leader is leading the business at every level, the team, the directing team, the leading team has to lead the business, to have a project, a vision and a strategy which is going after to deploy in the unit. And the quality of the relationship ensure trust. I think trust is really a basis for the people to be at ease, to work together and be trusting each other. And what is at the core of this trust is what? To know each other, to accept to show some weaknesses, and in order that the other people are going to show who they are with their weaknesses, and it is part also of the teamwork. It is like in a sport team, the people, a performing team, is composed of people who have not the same qualities, and they have each one of them has weaknesses. And in a direction team of a company or a unit, it's the same. So to accept that, and to accept also not to be not to have the same opinion on things, and to discuss, and to be in disagreement, maybe to be in conflict, and that creative solutions are going to come out of the confrontation of the differences and the different opinion.
True, that would be fully my approach. But honestly, I've seen also teams working, high performance teams working with command and control, which would not be at all my view of getting performance, but it's existing. So, so on a more abstract level, I would go back on leading people. What is important that you have a set of values you believe in will create performance, and that you have the capability to bring it into your organization, to get it accepted from the people, and that this is the fundament, that those set of values you brought into the organization is a fundament for your spirit you have in the organization. And in many companies it will be trust, it will be an honest relation you are creating to each other. There are some other organizations which are working differently, which I wouldn't work there, but with even with a kind of performance which is not too bad. So coming back, leading people means for me having values and being able to bring those values in the company. And the second topic is having the capability of having communication skills. Especially in changes. Hey, you have to be able to create a change story. You have to have the skill to gather people behind your change story and to make them believe that this is the right path to go. You have to have a kind of skill to bring the right words which are important for the people and which will bring people to follow you. That's important.
Yeah, that means, the mobilization and motivation of people is key.
Very important.
That means we have to adapt specifically to each one. That means the behavioral agility is key there.
Exactly.
To manage the emotion of people, specific emotion. Not everybody is going to have the same type of emotion in front of change. And also to motivate people. There is one point I would like to add to our discussion. For me, one key dimension of a leader is to, let's say, create the condition and to contribute to the, let's say, the development of the people, of the collaborators, and okay, so to make them grow in a way. And that it seems to me there are several, dimensions of how to be a leader who develop his people and contribute to their growth. The first dimension for me is to give the means to the people to become more autonomous, more responsible, and to take initiative and to take risk. So that's, and of course we come back to trust, huh? Because if people don't take initiative, don't take risk, don't feel responsible of, I don't know, their initiative and their risk, and don't allow themselves to do it, we have what? Bureaucracy. We don't have a company, a competitive company. So that's something very important, to give the means and to give the authorization to the people to really undertake, and that's also the way they are going to learn, because it's doing things they didn't do and taking initiatives, they are going to really improve themselves and
Correct.
develop themselves.
Correct.
So that's a big dimension. I don't know if you want to comment this part or.
I think you said it already. So people development is part of leading people. Because leading people means communication, creating change initiatives, looking on the skills of your people, developing those skills, creating an environment of performance, and implementing values which are important for you and where you think they are needed to create the performance you're expecting. So those are all aspects which are related to the dimension leading people.
Okay, let's stay with the relationship with which is a very important point. So, okay, we are not going to repeat to enable people to grow and to develop themselves, some kind of empowerment in a way. Second point, the leader plays a big role, and by his attitude, also by what he transmits to the other people. And so sometimes he is like a role model, and his exemplarity plays a big role. So he has to show, maybe we are going to develop that later on, but he has to really show that he walks the talk. He really shows that he is himself able to take risk or to be courageous and things like that. So in a way, he will be a role model, or he will be a mentor from his experience to make people beneficiate from his own experience.
In German, I don't know if this saying exists also in English. You shouldn't preach water and drink wine.
Okay, yeah, okay. So even if I think sometimes wine is pretty good, but I understand the image, the metaphor.
You know, if you are preaching things you are not standing behind by yourself, people are not dumb. They see it, and they discover it. Yeah. And of course, people are always reacting to your actions and not to your sayings.
Yes, of course. There is another key, let's say, skill that maybe leaders are just developing right now, is not to show the example, or not to do some mentorship towards their collaborators, but it is to accompany them in a way for them to discover themselves, their own objectives and their own resources to reach their objectives. That means he's like a little bit like a coach, and so not to have the first place, but to be to be a supportive leader, you have to be a coach for your collaborators.
You know, there are so many different models regarding leading people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, from servant leadership to the leader as a coach, to really setting the example and being the hero, being the front runner and gathering the people behind you. So being the hero up front. I don't know. So I think here we have to look on what is the expectation in the company culture, what is there, what will create really the performance over there. And maybe a squad team in the military will have different values and leadership approaches than an accounting department or a sales department or engineering department or IT company or bureaucracy in the state department. So I wouldn't go so far now to say there is a trend or there is a right and wrong in the way you're leading people. Coming back, I would say the performance in gathering people and bring people into performance. That's what you have.
So that, okay, I would like to comment this one because, okay, you started by the vision and the strategy. The vision and strategy is going to have some effectiveness if it is shared with people. That means if the leader is giving sense to what is done every day, because it changes completely the nature of the the relationship to the work. When you know for what you are doing that, instead of just doing what you do, it is a big difference.
That's not what I mean by leading the business.
No, but I mean, leading the business is establishing the strategy, the vision,
Yes.
and all that,
Yeah.
and to be aware of what we have to do, how we have to invest, anticipate the future,
Having a
and
picture of the
explore,
future, yeah.
innovate, and all that. But you have to share that. If you don't share that, the communication of it is going to be very often is going to be more important than to do it. Because if you do it and you stay in your ivory tower, you're not going to have as much impact if you share it and you convince the people that okay, that's the future of the company.
Yeah, if you're looking, you can go through like a clock. First, you have to have the skills of developing a business model. You have to set a frame in the organization that this business model can be realized, budgets, organizational skills, whatever. And you have to bring the people to follow you on this path. So those are all elements. You could even build a change process out of it. First the strategy, then the frame, and then the people. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So that's a typical path we have here. And but now we are more in a way of defining it as a process. I was more in defining what are elements of a good leader.
Yeah, the different dimensions.
And there is a fourth we might forget, and the fourth is leading yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Because in what we see, I see leaders who at a certain point in their life stopped learning. They define they are done. They know what is right and wrong. And maybe even sometimes there is an expectation from your surrounding that you have to know because you're the boss. And and this can create even a situation where you have to have answers on everything. Yeah. And then you stop learning.
So you stop listening and you stop, be interested by the opposite ideas and what is done outside and all that.
And that's the beginning of problems.
Yeah,
that's the beginning. So the fourth dimension is a dimension where, in fact, good leaders remaining curious all their life.
Yeah.
Good leaders understand that they're not perfect. Good leaders are understanding that they are also in a process of learning and development.
Mm-hmm.
Good leaders have the capability not shifting into stress too fast, having a good resilience to what is going around you and not being affected too fast. Being balanced is so important, because otherwise you are coming into a trap and you're not able anymore to take the right decisions you need to take regarding strategy, regarding organization, regarding people, and regarding your own development.
Yeah. Uh-huh. You want to develop another point?
No.
I think, okay, so I'm very sensitive when I work with okay, let's say top leaders in organizations. I would make a difference between the people who are taking lessons from their experience and are able to transform a difficulty into an opportunity. So that means these people, they have several qualities. First, they are able to be resilient and to be more steady in front of the difficulties, but also they need to look at life in a positive way, not only at life, at opportunity, at business, and also at people in a positive way, and to be optimistic about that, and to not to be submitted to the, I don't know which kind of situation, but which kind of reality, but to really to be oriented towards the future, and I can do something. So that's something which is very important for me. I find very often, but because I am consultant, I guess, that the top leaders are not always brave and courageous enough to say the truth to their teams, or to really and to take risk, because without taking risk, without looking at reality as it is very difficult to build the future. And so I would stress these qualities, to be optimistic, to be resilient, to be optimistic, to be positive, and to be courageous in a way.
Fully right.
Yeah.
Fully right.
Okay, so and to authorize the people to be so.
There is even one thing which is missing, is being humble.
Yes, okay. Mm-hmm.
Because in the moment you know that in fact you are not the superstar, and everything is the beginning of learning. Learning starts that you are admitting to yourself you don't know everything, and you're not Mr. Perfect or Mrs. Perfect. That's where learning starts. I want to discover and I want to improve. And this can be on each dimension. This could be on technical skills. This can be on personal skills. This can be everywhere, on relational skills, whatever. So admitting to yourself that you're all your life in a development is so fundamentally important. Just a few weeks ago, one of my partner, I went to the LinkedIn page of one of my partners and looked what was written in his description, and he wrote to his own profile, under construction. And I had to smile because it was so funny, and it's really the best description of how you should self-describe yourself. You are always in a process of improvement, and you are always under construction. I'm always under construction, and I like it to learn. I like it to also admit that I have many weaknesses, and then I'm discovering every day new ones, and I'm working on it, and I try to improve. I try to rethink about my beliefs all the time. Yeah, re-questioning your beliefs is so important, because beliefs are pretty often the trap in which one you can fall.
We limit ourselves. Yeah.
You're limiting yourself so much when your beliefs are dominating you, because then you're not able anymore to rethink about what you should do. Yeah. So understanding that you are something which is in a permanent development, and you have to re-question yourself all the time, not in falling into depression. Yeah. Oh, I don't know anything. Yeah. But on the other side, saying, hey, let me also develop myself. And this kind of humble starting point is, out of my understanding, also creating another relation to your people. Because if you lead people and you're more humble with yourself, you will create another relationship.
Mm-hmm.
More trustful one.
Yeah. Okay. Trust is fundamental. We agree with that. Do you think? I think that we succeed with our qualities. So that means if we so very often the way we want to improve ourselves is to compensate our weaknesses, and it is necessary, but we are not going to win with that. We are going to win with who we are, with our qualities. And to be humble also is to acknowledge that there are many qualities we don't have, and maybe we are going to compensate with what? With our partner and people who are working with us. True. And to be aware of that, because we are making the portrait, the ideal portrait of a leader, but who is like that?
Fully agree. Yeah? Fully agree. So, but if you don't have the self-awareness,
yes, okay, so
you have a problem. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, self-awareness is also very important to this fourth category of leading yourself. Yeah, being humble, being self-aware about yourself, seeing yourself as something which is in a permanent evolution. Knowing about your strengths and weaknesses and how to deal with it, and also, if you know that you're not a good organizer, that you can't organize very well, but you have great ideas about the future, then you have to find someone who helps you on that. Let's look on Steve Jobs. Yeah. So Steve Jobs was I would say brilliant on leading the business. Mm-hmm. He had great ideas. Visionary ideas on how the technology will develop and how competition will stick to that. Mm-hmm. Here it was perfect. Was he a good manager in leading the organization?
Apparently no.
I don't think so. So
at least making a lot of opposition, creating a lot of opposition.
All what I heard from people working there was that he was not a good manager, but he understood that. And he was able to find someone who's doing that. And Tim Cook is perfect on that one. Yeah, he's a process excellence guy. He knows how things have to be organized, that they're working well, that millions and millions of mobile phones and MacBooks are produced.
And he is good for the profitability of Apple, but not for the innovation power of Apple.
We don't know, but at the moment,
there is no innovation anymore. But
the watch came, but let's say that's a threat. The threat is that Apple is now coming in a stage where, in fact, the actual business model is improved, but there is no real
so,
change of business.
Do you agree to say, part of the quality of a leader is also to let's say, envision, to be able to imagine himself in a team, not by himself. But because he is going to see his weakness, to be aware of his weaknesses, and to see with which partner he's going to work, how to complement his talent by other talents.
I think as soon as you are self-aware about what are your skills, you have to then find a way to compensate it. Yeah.
Okay, that's also a form of courage, huh?
to delegate things to others,
Yeah.
that they're making it for you because you're not able to do that.
Yeah.
And I think I want to stress one aspect which is, out of my understanding, important. You know, there is now the impression that those four elements, you know, leading the business, leading the organization, leading people, and leading yourself, that this is just valid now for a top manager. In fact, you can apply this model to each layer of the organization, even for a team lead. Yeah. Even a team leader or department head has to think about how his business will develop. Maybe he has more internal customers than external customers. Maybe his market is more an internal market or an internal than an external. But even though he is related to the overall strategy and business model of the company, he has to define the strategy for his department. He has to organize his department. He has to lead people, and he has to develop himself. So in each layer of the organization, you have, for people, those four elements you can apply. And you know, I like to apply it in recruitment situations, because it's very easy then to look, hey, what is a challenge for this new task? Where is the threat for the future? Is it more business model and business? Is it more organization? Is it more people performance? Or is it more having someone who's who's fitting with his mindset to the company culture and and has the right approach and can be integrated into the leadership culture? And out of that, with this in the background, you can assess everyone pretty easy, because you can then ask questions regarding skills on business, skills on organization, skills on people, and fit to the leadership culture of the company.
Yes. Okay. So this ideal man,
Mr. Superman or Wonder Woman.
yes. Okay, this ideal portrait, I think it's a portrait of several people at the same time. So especially because some of the qualities are so complementary, but so antagonistic at the same time. So that's why, the humility of the person and the awareness of the leader is key to know with whom he will work to be at the same time the most effective, and how to ensure the cohesiveness of his team. Okay, thank you very much.